This and probably the next 2 episodes we will take a look at creating a crafting system. Today we will set up craftable items as well as their recipe and add some functions to our inventory that we will need in the later videos. First off, if you want to follow along, make sure that you import those 7 textures here. The download link will be in the description, and set their settings to UI as we did in the videos before. Now let's get started. First off, let's go to our blueprints. For the structures as item info, let's add a variable. That will be our recipe, and its type will be s_inventory slot. Remember that in that structure we store an item class and the amount, so we will use that for our recipe. Make that an array, and when we go to the items later, you could add an element here, expand this here, and say, for example, we will need 4 maps or something. Okay, let's remove that again. Save it, close it. Now let's go to our item classes. Open up the master item, compile and save it. Then right click and create a child blueprint. That will be our item_stone. Double click to open it up. Expand the item info. The name will be stone. Icon will be icon rock, I think it's called. Yeah. Uncheck the can be used. Make sure that it can be stacked. For the category we have to create a new one. So drag it to the side here. Under our enums, item categories, let's add a new entry, and that will be materials for crafting. Then close it. Item classes, go to the BP master item, compile and save it. Now in our stone, change the category to material. Internal name will be stone without capitalization. Maybe give it a weight of 0.1 and no recipe. Description could be something like a stone that can be used to craft other items. Compile and save it. Now let's duplicate our item stone. That will be item_wood. Open it up. Change the name to wood. Description, change it to a piece of wood that can be used to craft other items. Icon will be icon_wood. Change the internal name to wood. And that's it for our 2 materials. Now you would have to see which of your items should be craftables. I would just make the hero sword craftable. So open it up, and for the recipe add 2 elements. First we will need wood, maybe an amount of 5, and after that stone, maybe 10 stones. Compile and save. Just to make sure that we have more than 1 entry in our craftable list, in the later video I will make the health potion craftable as well, though it doesn't really make sense. So let's open it, and for the recipe, let's say that you need 5 stones to craft the potion. Compile and save. Then let's go to our BP inventory, compile and save it. Let's add a variable. That will be our unlocked craftable items. Make that a BP_master item class array. Compile and save. And let's add our hero sword and our health potion to it. Then we also need 2 new functions in here. The first one will be get total amount of item. It will have an input which will be the item to search for. That is a BP_master item class. And it will actually have 2 outputs. The first one will be the total amount, which is an integer. And the next one will be an array with all of the slot indices on which our item is. So call that slot indices and make that an integer array. Let's also create local variables. First the local amount, then an integer and not an array, then the local slot indices, and that will be an array. So first off, let's get our in item, promote that to a local variable, should be our local item, connect that to the execution here. After that we will grab in our slots array and search for one for each loop. So for all of our slots we will break the array element, then get the item class, search for isValid, search for branch. Okay, if it is valid, we also have to check that our item class equals the local class that we're searching for. Search for another branch, connect that to the true path, and if it's true, we will get our local slot indices, add an element, and that will be the array index. After that, set the local amount and also get the local amount. Then off of the local amount search for plus, and we will add the amount from our slot to it, then connect it to the new local amount. Now when our loop is completed, we will return with our local amount and our local slot indices. Compile and save. That's it for our function already. Then we need another function which will be remove item. We already created the function remove item at index. This time we will just have to plug in an item and the amount, and it will try to remove as many instances of the item as we requested. So add two inputs. First one will be the item to remove, BP master item class, and the next one will be the amount. Make that an integer, uncheck the array sign here. Also make an output that will be a boolean called success. Question mark. First off, we call the function we just created, get total amount of item, connect our in item to the item to search for. After that we check whether the total amount is greater or equal to the amount that we are trying to remove. Then search for branch. If it's false, which means that our total amount is less than the amount we're trying to remove, we return with false. If not, we get our slot indices, promote them to a local variable, local slot indices, and let's get the amount to remove from our input node here, promote that to a local variable as well, amount to remove. After that we will grab in our local slot indices and search for each loop with break. So we will loop through all of the indices at which the item class is, and we will right click here, search for get amount at index. The index will be our array element and not the array index. And let's check whether that amount is less than the amount we are trying to remove. Then search for a branch, connect that to the loop body. So if it's not less than, we will call the function remove item at index. Index will be the array element, and amount will be the amount to remove. After that we set the amount to remove to 0, since we then finished removing our item. Actually make sure that it's an for each loop with break and not the usual one. After we set the amount to remove to 0, we will break, and when we complete it we return with success. However, if our amount at the index is less than our amount to remove, we will set the amount to remove to the amount to remove we had before minus the amount at our index. So we will remove the whole slot, and what we removed will be subtracted from the amount that we still have to remove. After that, call remove item at index. Index will be our array element, and amount will be the get amount at array element, so everything that was there before. And after that, we will continue with a loop and not break. Compile and save. Now we can close CBP inventory, and that's everything we had to do for our preparation work. In the next video we will start designing our widgets, so see you then.